You dream of him. It feels more real than memory. You wake up feeling him closer than he's been in months. Your heart whispers. He feels it too. Maybe he hasn't called. Maybe he's moved on the outside. But in your dreams, he never left. According to Carl Jung, dreams are not random. They are messages from the unconscious, symbols, emotions and truths we're not ready to say aloud. And when you keep dreaming of someone, when it feels like the two of you keep meeting in that hidden world, it's not just coincidence. It's a signal. The connection might still exist, buried under time, covered by silence, but alive somewhere deeper. This video is for the woman who still feels him, who still dreams of him, who wakes up with questions her mind can't answer, but her soul already knows. You're not crazy. You're not imagining it. You're picking up something real, and today we'll walk through the 10 subtle but powerful signs that you're still spiritually connected to him, even in silence. Let's begin. You're fine. Everything feels normal. And then, out of nowhere, a heaviness sets in. A sudden wave of sadness, worry, or longing without any reason. You didn't think of him. No one mentioned his name. Nothing happened, but your heart feels it anyway. You're sitting in your favorite coffee shop. The sun is gentle. Your coffee is still warm in your hands. And then, without warning, your chest tightens. A sense of emptiness, like something is missing, even though nothing has changed. What just happened? You scan your thoughts. There's no real cause, but the feeling lingers. Strong, unshakable, real. Carl Jung called this the field of unconscious resonance, a space where emotions are no longer just yours. They can belong to someone else, someone you're still deeply connected to. When two people share a real emotional bond, their strongest feelings don't disappear. They sink into the unconscious, becoming energy. And that energy can travel. If he's thinking of you, if he's overwhelmed with sadness, fear, longing, or even love, and your souls are still linked, you might feel it. It's like an echo through the emotional space between you. You feel anxious maybe because his heart is struggling. You feel nostalgic maybe because his soul is calling out to you, silently. And you wonder, what if this feeling isn't mine? What if it's his? Emotions are the language of the soul, and when they shift for no reason, you might be hearing a message with no words from someone you're still connected to. But if emotions can travel between souls, what else can? That's what we'll uncover in the next sign through coincidences that are anything but random. You think about him, and minutes later a familiar song plays. You consider texting him, then see his name in your notifications. Some call it coincidence, but you know, it feels too perfect to be random. You're walking headphones on, lost in thought. Suddenly he crosses your mind. A memory, a smile, a line he once said. And right then, like it was cued by fate, the song that always reminded you of him starts playing. You stop in your tracks. There's a tightness in your chest. How is this happening? At the exact moment you thought of him. And then it happens again. His name pops up in a comment on social media. Someone casually mentions him in a totally unrelated conversation. An old photo shows up in your memories on that exact date. You weren't looking for him. But somehow, these signs keep finding you. Carl Jung called this synchronicity. Two events with no logical link yet deeply meaningful to the one experiencing them. Jung believed that when we share strong emotional bonds, those connections don't disappear. They keep moving silently in the background of our minds. And when one person thinks of the other with deep feeling, the outside world begins to mirror that inner energy. So if you're thinking about him, and signs start showing up right after, it might not be your imagination. It might be a connection being awakened from both sides. And if those signs repeat again and again, what will you do? Will you trust your intuition? Or keep pretending it's just coincidence because maybe the universe is speaking for someone who still thinks of you but doesn't know how to say it? And if the outside signs are this strong, wait until you find out what happens when both of you start dreaming about each other at the same time. You dream of him. It feels so real, like you actually met in another world. Then a few days later, he messages you. That's weird. I dreamed of you too. You're asleep. And in your dream, he appears. The setting is blurry, but the feeling is clear. You don't remember every word, but you remember his eyes, the energy between you, the way it felt like you never truly said goodbye. You wake up with a strange feeling, part warmth, part ache, like your heart just touched something it missed for a long time. You don't plan to tell anyone, but then his message appears. I had a dream about you last night. It was vivid, so strange. You pause. Your heart skips. Is this just coincidence? Or are two minds truly connecting at the same moment? According to Carl Jung, dreams aren't just personal stories. They are doors to the collective unconscious, a space where all souls are connected beneath the surface. When two people are emotionally bonded, they can show up in each other's dreams as if their unconscious minds are reaching across space and time. Jung called this resonance through the unconscious. So, if you keep dreaming about him, especially during emotional moments or turning points, it may mean the bond is still alive in both of you. And if he dreams of you too at the same time, with the same symbols or feelings, that's no accident. It's possible your soul is still speaking to his, because during the day, your minds might not be ready, but at night, your spirits still remember each other. You can't control your dreams, but they often reveal what your heart hasn't forgotten. And if both of you are dreaming about each other, your body might also be sensing him even when he's not there. That's what we'll explore in the next sign. You're alone. There's no message, no call, no footsteps, no voice. And yet, you feel him. Not as a memory, not as a thought, but as a presence. It's nighttime. The house is quiet. You're reading, scrolling, or just lying still, and suddenly a wave of energy brushes over you. It's not scary. It's not even unfamiliar. It's just him. You feel like if you turned your head, he'd be standing right there. Carl Jung spoke about something called somatic memory, the body's way of storing emotional experience. When someone touches you deeply, not just physically, but emotionally, your body remembers them. And sometimes, when their energy reaches for you, your body reacts before your mind can explain anything. You might feel warmth on your skin, a sudden chill, a pressure in your chest, goosebumps without reason. You feel watched, not in fear, but in awareness, as if your spirit is responding to someone who still feels connected to you, even in silence. This isn't fantasy. It's not wishful thinking. It's energy. And energy doesn't disappear. It moves. It lingers. It returns when something in the air stirs it back to life. So if you've ever felt someone's presence in a room they've never stepped into, if you've heard a voice in your heart when your phone stayed silent, if you felt a hand over your shoulder when no one was there, maybe it's not just you. Maybe you're not alone in your feeling. Maybe you're still being felt too. Because when a bond is real, distance can't erase it, and absence can't silence it. But what happens when your moods begin to sync without a word exchanged? That's what we'll explore next. It's 2:47 a.m. You wake up suddenly. There's no sound, no nightmare, just a strange pull inside your chest. You sit up, you breathe. You don't know why, but you feel unsettled. And somewhere miles away, he wakes up too. Same time, same feeling. It's not planned. It's not logical. But it happens. Carl Jung believed that when two people share a deep emotional connection, their unconscious minds can synchronize. You felt it. You're anxious, and later you find out he was going through something difficult. You feel happy for no reason, and later you see he had a breakthrough. The two of you may not be speaking, but something is moving beneath the silence. It's called emotional resonance, not telepathy, not fantasy, but a real subtle human phenomenon. The energy between you can ripple outward so that when one of you changes inside, the other senses it even without knowing why. You find yourself missing him, and moments later he posts something that feels personal. You feel heavy, and a few hours later he reaches out as if he felt the same weight. It's not always easy to spot, but when it keeps happening, when your inner world seems to echo his, you start asking questions you can't ignore anymore. Is this connection still alive? Are we still affecting each other? Because sometimes the heart knows before the mind is ready to accept. And sometimes your soul feels what logic tries to silence. So if you've ever felt like you're walking through emotions that don't fully belong to you, you may not be imagining it. You may be sharing a quiet emotional rhythm with someone who still feels you too. But how does silence hold so much weight? And why can it say more than words? That's what we'll explore next. There are no messages, no missed calls, no notifications, just silence. But this silence isn't peaceful. It's heavy, it breathes, it feels like it's holding something back. You go about your day, but in the quiet moments between tasks, between thoughts, between breaths, you feel it. A tension, like a word left unsaid, like an emotion waiting for permission to be felt. Carl Jung believed that the unconscious never stays silent. Even when the conscious mind chooses not to speak, the unconscious continues to send signals through dream sensations and, yes, silence. Sometimes silence isn't absence, it's resistance. It's, I'm thinking of you, but I don't know how to say it. It's, I feel something, but I'm not ready to face it. And if you've ever sat in a room feeling like someone else's thoughts were trying to reach you, you're not alone. When two people have a deep emotional bond, even distance can't mute the connection. Because what hasn't been said still lives in the energy between you. You feel the silence, and somehow you know it's not indifference. It's fear, it's longing, it's confusion, but most of all, it's presence. So when you feel that weight in the silence, don't ignore it. Ask yourself, what is this silence trying to say? Who am I still connected to, even without a single word? Because sometimes what's not said is the loudest truth of all. But what if your intuition tells you something is coming? Something is about to change. That's what we'll uncover next. You get a feeling. It's quiet, subtle, but strong enough to make you pause. You don't have proof, no messages, no signs, just a quiet voice inside that whispers, he's coming back. You try to ignore it. You try to be logical, but the feeling doesn't go away. And then, days later, weeks later, he does come back. A message, a call, a comment, out of nowhere. But somehow not a surprise. Carl Jung believed that the unconscious can sense things before the conscious mind is ready. Not because it sees the future, but because it picks up signals the rational brain ignores. Energy, intention, emotional tension still moving beneath the surface. When someone is about to return, even if they don't fully know why, yet their energy often reaches you first. You might dream about them, think about them more often, feel emotional without knowing why. That's not just nostalgia, it's resonance. Something in them is stirring, and something in you is responding. Jung called this a psychic anticipation, a kind of emotional intuition. So when your heart says, "I don't think it's over," maybe it's not denial. Maybe it's perception. And when he returns, just like you sensed, don't just ask, "Why did he come back?" Ask yourself, "What else have I been feeling?" That might be real too, because sometimes your intuition isn't a hope, it's a knowing. But what if his presence still affects you even without him doing anything at all? That's what we'll explore next. He's not around. He's not texting. He's not calling. He's not showing up in any visible way. But just thinking about him changes everything. One thought of him and you feel calm or anxious, or like the air around you just shifted. He still affects your inner world. Carl Jung once said, "The most important things are the hardest to say because words diminish them." Some connections don't need presence to exist. They live in emotion. They echo in your body. You think of him and suddenly your mood changes. Your thoughts take a turn. Your chest tightens. Your mind drifts. This isn't obsession, it's resonance. When someone leaves a deep emotional imprint on you, their energy doesn't vanish when they do. It lingers. It vibrates through memory, through the unconscious, through the soul. Sometimes it brings peace. Sometimes it brings pain. But always, it reminds you, this was real. And maybe, just maybe, he feels it too. Maybe your presence still unsettles him. Maybe your memory still brings him comfort, or restlessness, or questions he hasn't answered yet. Because when two people have truly connected, neither walks away untouched. You feel him even in his absence. Because emotional energy doesn't require permission to stay. It just stays. And if he still lives in your inner world, there's one final question to ask. Does he carry you in his... You still feel him. Not every day, not all the time, but in the quietest moments he's there. A song, a scent, a sudden wave of emotion that makes no sense. Until you remember him. You haven't heard from him. There are no signs he's thinking of you. But deep down you know something hasn't ended. You feel him for a reason. Carl Jung believed that when we resist emotions, they don't disappear. They go underground. They shape our dreams, our patterns, our connections. If your body still reacts to his memory, if your soul still softens or stirs at the thought of him, it's because something within you recognizes a truth your mind has tried to silence. And here's the part you might not expect. If you still feel him, he probably feels you too. Maybe he doesn't talk about it. Maybe he doesn't understand it. But if the connection was real, part of you still lives in him, just like part of him lives in you. This isn't about fantasy. It's about emotional reality. Energy doesn't lie, and the unconscious never forgets. If you've seen the signs, felt the shifts, heard the silence, and still you feel him, then it's not imagination, it's intuition. You're not broken. You're deeply connected. But now comes the final truth. Even if he still feels you, even if the bond is still real, you deserve more than a silent connection. You deserve love that shows up, that chooses you, that speaks clearly. Feel him, remember him, but never forget yourself in the process. Because the deepest soul connections aren't meant to trap you. They're meant to wake you up. And now, maybe it's time to come home to yourself. You've just explored 10 powerful signs that speak not with words, but with energy, intuition, and deep emotional truth. Maybe some of them made your heart ache. Maybe others made you feel seen, like someone finally put your feelings into words. What matters is this. If you felt these signs, you're not imagining things. You're not alone. You're connected whether he ever says it out loud or not. But this isn't just about him, it's about you. Because feeling deeply is not a weakness, it's a gift. And understanding these invisible threads is how you begin to reclaim your power. Carl Jung once said, What you resist not only persists, but will grow in size. So don't run from what you feel. Recognize it. Learn from it. Let it transform you. You deserve a connection that speaks with more than energy. A love that shows up in actions, not just signs. A soul bond that doesn't hide behind silence. So, what will you do with what you feel? Will you keep waiting in the quiet? Or will you turn that energy inward and return home to yourself? And if this message spoke to something inside you, tell me in the comments, still connected. Because maybe you're not the only one. And if you think this story is over, it's not. The next video will open a door you didn't know was there. Until then, stay curious, stay kind, and trust what your soul already knows.